Hey everyone, and welcome back to Talk Tickers, where we break down earnings calls and try to give you the insights you need to know.
That's right.
So today we're diving into GoPro's Q3 2024 report. And I don't know about you, but this one's got me feeling like I'm about to drop in on a gnarly aft pipe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. This one's got some twists and turns for sure.
Did they stick the landing or faceplant spectacularly?
Well, to figure that out, we've got GoPro's Q3 transcript right here.
Fresh off the press?
Piping hot. And we've also got their latest stock performance numbers.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so this one's a real head scratcher. They exceeded revenue expectations, but they also announced some pretty big plans to reduce their operating expenses next year in 2025. So,
what's the game plan here? Are they playing it safe, or are they like battening down the hatches for some kind of massive launch?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
So let's unpack this.
Let's get into it.
First off, GoPro raked in a cool $259 million in revenue for Q3, which actually beat their own guidance.
That's pretty impressive when you consider that they've been fighting an uphill battle all year, haven't they?
Yeah, it hasn't exactly been smooth sailing for GoPro. I mean, we're talking about a global economic slowdown that's got consumers everywhere thinking twice about spending.
Yeah, for sure.
And then on top of that, they had to push back the launch of their brand new 360-degree camera.
Oh, right. I remember that.
Which definitely threw a wrench in their plans. And then, of course,
you always got to have those competitors.
Always lurking.
Nipping at your heels.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing. Despite all that, their stock, GPRO, actually closed up more than 8% on November 8th.
Really?
Yeah, ending the day at 1.57 a share. So investors are feeling optimistic.
Yeah, they seem to be liking what they're hearing from GoPro.
What's got them so stoked?
I think a big part of it is that they beat those revenue expectations. That's always a good sign. But what's really interesting is that strategic shift they're making, especially with their focus on subscriptions and becoming more efficient.
Right. So they're not just about selling cameras anymore.
Nope. They're playing the long game.
So you're talking about that 11% year-over-year growth in their subscription and services revenue, which reached $27.5 million.
Exactly. And that's not just some small bump. That's a real trend.
Yeah. And one that they seem to be really leaning into.
Absolutely. And what's even more promising is that they're seeing an increase in the average revenue per user and subscriber growth.
So people are sticking around and they're finding value in that subscription.
Yeah, enough to keep paying for it month after month.
That's sticky revenue.
Exactly the kind of revenue that companies dream of.
Absolutely. And hold on to your hats, folks, because here's where things get really interesting.
Oh, boy.
They reported a positive EBITDA of $5 million.
Wow.
That's a serious leap from last quarter.
Huge.
And it tells me that they're not just treading water. They're learning to swim with the sharks.
Yeah, they're not just surviving, they're figuring out how to thrive.
Exactly. And so this positive EBITDA, which basically is like a measure of their operating profitability, is a sign that they're actually making money.
And investors love to see that, especially in these uncertain times.
Not all sunshine and rainbows, though, is it?
Well, no, there are always challenges, and GoPro's facing a pretty big one right now.
Yeah, they're caught in a bit of a legal whirlwind, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in a legal battle trying to protect their intellectual property.
They're suing a competitor who they say is basically ripping off their camera technology.
It's a bold move, but you can understand why they're doing it.
Well, especially when you consider that GoPro has this reputation for being real innovators.
Oh, yeah, they've been pushing the boundaries for years.
I mean, they basically invented those super wide-angle lenses that everyone's using now.
And don't forget about their in-camera video stabilization. It's legendary.
Oh, yeah, they've built up a whole fortress of patents over the years.
They're not afraid to use them.
No, and how this lawsuit shakes out is anybody's guess.
It's hard to say.
But it shows that GoPro is willing to fight for what they've created.
Yeah, they're not backing down.
And then there's the big announcement that had everybody talking.
The one about slashing their expenses.
Exactly. They're planning to slash their 2025 operating expenses by a whopping $110 million.
That is a huge cut.
It is, and that means they're targeting a total of $250 million in operating expenses.
Wow.
Which is the leanest they've been since their IPO.
That's going way back.
Some people might see that as a red flag.
Yeah, like they're in trouble.
But I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think there's more to it than that.
Me too.
I think it's a calculated move to really streamline their operations.
Like a transformation into a lean, mean fighting machine?
Exactly. And what's impressive is that they're doing all of this while still moving forward with some pretty exciting new products.
Speaking of new toys, let's talk about those new products.
Okay, what do we have?
Well, they launched the Hero 13 Black,
As expected.
which everyone was kind of expecting, but then they also dropped the Hero,
The Hero.
which is this budget-friendly model that's clearly aimed at attracting a much wider audience.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, I think that Hero camera is a brilliant move. It's designed for profitability from the ground up, and it's going to appeal to people who maybe thought that GoPro was out of their price range.
Yeah, make it more accessible.
Exactly, and they're not stopping. Their retail presence is exploding. They've added something like 6,300 new retail locations since last May,
Wow, that's a lot.
bringing their total to over 25,000.
They're everywhere.
They are, and that's all about increasing their reach and visibility.
It's a smart move. It sets the stage for even bigger product launches in the future.
Yeah, who knows, maybe even world domination.
Can only hope.
All right, so GoPro's making some big moves, but what does it all mean for their future?
Well, their 2025 outlook does project lower unit sales and revenue compared to this year, but I don't think that's a huge surprise considering all the challenges they're facing.
Like the economic slowdown, the delayed 360 camera, launched the competition.
All those factors are going to have an impact.
But there's some silver linings here, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that delayed 360-degree camera, the Max H.A. 2 is still expected to launch next year.
That's right.
Plus, they're projecting higher average selling prices
Which is good for their bottom line.
and a juicier gross margin.
And of course, let's not forget about those major operating expense cuts they're making.
All of this combined could put GoPro on track for profitability in 2025.
And that could set them up for a major comeback in 2026.
Though we've got a company that's facing some serious headwinds,
No, no.
but they're also making strategic moves to weather the storm.
It's a classic tale of resilience and innovation.
With a little bit of that daredevil spirit that GoPro is known for.
They're definitely at a crossroads.
They are.
Yeah.
But the steps they're taking tell me that they're not just reacting to the market, they're actively shaping their own destiny.
Whether they can regain that market dominance, though, that's a story that's still being written.
Well said.
But before we move on, I can't resist a little bit of speculation.
Oh boy, here we go.
Time for our favorite segment.
This is not financial advice,
Of course not.
but hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening.
What if we buy GoPro puts expiring right before the Max 2 launch?
You're betting against the Max 2.
Exactly. We're capitalizing on that potential downward pressure,
Yeah.
and then right after the launch, bam, we buy calls riding the wave of a potential rebound if the Max 2 is a hit.
Okay, that's bold.
It is a little crazy, maybe.
Just a little.
But hey, that's what this segment is all about.
Thinking outside the box.
Exactly. But of course, and I cannot stress this enough, this is not financial advice.
Repeat after me. This is not financial advice.
This is just a fun little thought experiment for our listeners.
Do your own research, folks. Don't make your investment decisions based on our crazy speculation.
Fair enough, but this does raise a really interesting question.
Okay, shoot.
Will GoPro's strategic shifts and their new product launches be enough for them to reclaim their throne in the action camera world?
That is the million-dollar question, and it's one that we're going to be exploring in much more detail in part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll be dissecting the Q&A portion of their earnings call.
So stay tuned for even more insights and analysis. We'll be back soon.
Do then.
All right, so welcome back to Talk Tickers. Let's dive right back into GoPro's Q3 earnings call and see what we can uncover in the Q&A with the analysts.
Yeah, the Q&A is always where things get really interesting.
It is the analysts. They really get a chance to grill the CEO and CFO, and we get to listen in on their strategy.
Exactly. They get to ask the tough questions, and we get the inside scoop.
So the analysts, they didn't hold back. They jumped right into that ongoing litigation.
The one where GoPro is suing a competitor for allegedly infringing on their patents.
That's the one. It's a pretty high-stakes situation, and naturally the analysts wanted to know what GoPro considers a win in this legal battle.
Yeah, what are they hoping to achieve with this lawsuit?
Well, CEO Nicholas Woodman, he was pretty straightforward about it. He said the ideal outcome would be for the International Trade Commission to basically say, yep, that's infringement.
Wow, so they're not messing around.
Nope. And that would validate GoPro's patents. And more importantly, it would block their competitor from selling those allegedly copycat products in the U.S.
So they're aiming to shut down the competition in the U.S. market.
Pretty much. And it's a bold move, but it shows how serious they are about protecting their innovations.
It definitely sends a strong message.
Yeah, like, hey, we welcome competition, but you got to play by the rules.
Exactly, or else face the legal consequences.
Speaking of challenges, an analyst brought up the elephant in the room, the headwinds looming over GoPro's 2025 outlook. You know, the whole macroeconomic gloom, the delayed 360-degree camera launch, and, of course, the ever-present rival.
Yeah, those are some serious hurdles they're facing.
So what's the company's take on all of that?
Brian McGee, GoPro's CFO, he addressed all of those points head on.
Lay it on us.
He admitted that the macroeconomic situation is a big concern, especially with slowdowns in both the U.S. and China.
Yeah, those are huge markets for GoPro.
Absolutely. And he also acknowledged that getting their new 360-degree camera, the Max H.A, out on shelves as soon as possible is critical.
Because that market segment is just exploding right now.
And GoPro needs to be a part of it.
They do. And, of course, competition, that's always a factor, even when times are good.
Always nipping at their heels.
So they definitely have their work cut out for them. But one thing that really caught my attention was the whole retail expansion thing.
Oh, yeah. They've added thousands of new stores that sell their cameras.
Right. And one analyst pointed out what seemed like a contradiction.
A contradiction.
Yeah. They asked, how can you be adding all these retail locations but still be forecasting lower unit sales and revenue for 2025?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to add up.
It doesn't. And Woodman's explanation was actually pretty interesting.
I'm all ears.
It said, sure, the retail expansion's a great move, but they can't fully reap the benefits until they have their complete product lineup ready to go.
Ah, I see.
And he specifically called out the delayed MX2.
Without that flagship 360-degree camera on the shelves, those new retail locations are kind of missing a key piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. It's like they're playing a waiting game, setting the stage now in anticipation of a stronger product portfolio next year.
Makes sense.
So they're building an infrastructure, but they absolutely need to deliver on those new products.
No pressure. Right.
Speaking of competition, another analyst dug a little deeper, asking where GoPro is feeling the heat the most. Is it in the 360-degree camera space or in their core action camera market?
Yeah, they're facing rivals on both fronts.
They are.
Well,
So what did Woodman have to say about that?
Well, he was surprisingly candid about it. He admitted that they're losing some market share in both categories.
Ouch.
But he emphasized that the bigger revenue hit is coming from that delayed Max 2 launch.
So that 360-degree camera market, it's becoming a real battleground.
It is, and it's make or break time for GoPro in that segment.
They need to come back with a product that blows people's minds.
The MAX2 could be their savior.
But it has to be a hit.
No more delays, no more excuses.
Okay, so we've talked about the legal battle, the competition, the economic challenges. But what about the long game? Where does GoPro see itself in the years to come? What's their vision beyond just surviving these current hurdles?
That's where Woodman really got fired up. He talked about GoPro evolving beyond just being the hero camera company.
So they want to be more than just action cameras.
Exactly. He envisions them as the leading force in what he calls alternative capture cameras.
Alternative capture cameras.
Yeah, cameras that go way beyond what your smartphone or your traditional camera can do.
So they're aiming to be the go-to for any kind of specialized filming, not just action sports anymore.
Precisely, think drones, 360-degree cameras, even cameras embedded in other devices.
Interesting.
Woodman believes there's a growing demand for this new breed of camera.
And he thinks GoPro is uniquely positioned to dominate that market.
Exactly. They've got the expertise in image stabilization, rugged design, that go-anywhere durability that people have come to expect from GoPro.
Yeah, they've built a brand that resonates with everyone, from extreme athletes to everyday content creators.
And now they're applying that same daring spirit to a whole new range of applications.
It's not just about making cameras anymore. It's about giving people the tools to capture life's experiences in ways that we haven't even thought of yet.
It's a compelling vision, no doubt.
It is. But the question remains, can they execute on this grand vision?
That's the million-dollar question, and that's what we're going to be dissecting in part 3 of this deep dive.
We're going to analyze their strategy, their financial health, their odds of succeeding in this rapidly evolving world of cameras. So don't touch that dial.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Talk Tickers, everybody. We're in the home stretch now of our GoPro deep dive.
Time to see if this action camera icon can really pull off this comeback story.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
Oh, we have that surprise revenue beat their aggressive cost-cutting measures and those ambitious plans for all those new cameras.
So now it's time to analyze whether they actually have what it takes to turn this vision into a reality.
Put it all together.
Exactly. So first up, their core strategy. They seem to be betting big on this two-pronged approach.
Okay, break it down for me.
Well, on the one hand, they're doubling down on that subscription model, which, remember, saw a pretty impressive 11% year-over-year revenue growth.
Right, and it's not just about slapping a subscription fee on their cameras.
No, it's not. They're actively trying to make that subscription more valuable with things like cloud storage, automatic uploads, even beefed up editing features.
This is more like a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, they're transforming a GoPro from just a standalone camera into a complete content creation ecosystem.
Smart move.
It's all about creating that recurring revenue stream and building a loyal customer base.
It's like they're saying, hey, we're not just selling you a camera, we're selling you a whole experience.
Exactly. And the second part of their strategy involves expanding their product lineup beyond just those action cameras.
Right, so they're diving headfirst into new territories like those 360-degree cameras.
And there are even rumors about drones and other cutting-edge capture devices.
So they want to be the kings of alternative capture.
They do anything that pushes the boundaries of what a smartphone camera can do.
Ambitious.
It is, but they just might pull it off. GoPro is practically synonymous with durability, adventure, high-quality video.
They've built a brand that really connects with a lot of people.
From extreme athletes to everyday content creators.
But can they actually pull off this ambitious strategy while staying financially afloat?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And that's where their aggressive cost-cutting measures come in. Remember that $110 million reduction in operating expenses?
Oh, yeah. They're aiming for their leanest year since going public.
Some people might see that as a sign of desperation.
Sure, like they're in trouble.
But I don't know. I see it more as a sign of focus.
Yeah, they're streamlining their operations to be as efficient as possible.
Exactly. They're making sure that every dollar counts. They want to be profitable, even in a tough market.
Absolutely.
And it's crucial to point out that they're not sacrificing innovation on the altar of cost-cutting.
Right, they're still investing in those new products.
The ones that could redefine their future. It's a delicate balancing act. But they seem determined to make it work.
Well, they're going to need to be if they want to succeed.
So what are the potential roadblocks that GoPro might stumble over?
I think the big one is the global economic situation. It's unpredictable. Consumer spending is down.
Yeah.
GoPro's products, they're awesome, but they're not exactly necessities.
No, they're not. People might hesitate to shell out the cash for a new GoPro if they're feeling financially squeezed.
Absolutely. And then there's the competition they're facing, rivals on multiple fronts.
The camera market is getting more crowded all the time, not just with those traditional camera brands, but also with those smartphone manufacturers who are constantly upping their game.
GoPro can't afford to just rest on their laurels.
They need to stay ahead of the curve and keep delivering those unique features that you just can't get from a smartphone.
Otherwise, they risk becoming irrelevant.
And another delay, like that MX2 debacle.
Oh, yeah, they can't afford another one of those.
No timing is everything they need to hit the market at the right time.
Enough fanfare to grab people's attention.
So it all comes down to execution. Do they have the leadership, the vision, the grit to overcome all these hurdles and reclaim that top spot in the action camera world?
It's impossible to say for sure, but I think they've got a fighting chance. They've got a solid plan. They're making tough choices. And most importantly, they still have that GoPro DNA, that spirit of innovation that made them so popular in the first place.
That's what it all comes down to.
It's going to be an interesting ride, that's for sure.
It is. It's a classic underdog story.
It's one worth watching.
Whether you're an investor, a content creator, or just a fan of daring innovation, GoPro's journey is definitely one to keep an eye on.
They might surprise us all.
Well, this has been Talk Tigers.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll catch you on the next earnings call.